I heard 1,000 blended notes while in a grove. No, I'm not going to put the emphasis on while, actually. Hello, I'm Edward Bluemel, and I am going to read Lines Written in Early Spring by William Wordsworth. By William Wordsworth. Wordsworth, ridiculous name for a poet.
I didn't actually look up when it was written, did you?
Nah.
No.
It was I can have a guess. It was written in spring something. Early spring. So let's call that April, but I can't give you a year. Poetry is something that came to me quite late in life, too late in life, post school. And I think maybe that's what I found in sort of like GCSE English was it was so focused on like, what does every sentence mean? What is this rhyme structure? How do we say this correctly? Instead of like listening to it and what reaction does it actually just elicit in me? And that reaction can be boredom, that's fine. I've read some romantic poems. Is Keats romantic? Second gen, okay, yeah. I've been romantic poet adjacent, but I've never quite been a romantic poet, but you know, my career is still young, I hope. But actually, loads of them died really young. I'm probably too old to play half of them. People can't resist sticking me in a blouse. People look at me and I think they look at my sort of floppy hair and they go, gosh, that's a boy who's sent a poem to a woman before. And trust me, I have. The reason I chose this is because it's a romantic poem, but there's a simplicity to it. It feels a sort of sketch-like quality to it. This to me is like a Wordsworth writing a poem in his notes app, which I think we all do, and we should all be more honest about. We've all done it on the tube. I wonder if it's sort of the sort of thing where you'd be like, hey, William, we are talking about lines written in early spring, and he'd be like, what? Okay, I wrote that like in 10 minutes and then like never really looked at it again. There's definitely a couple of bits rhythmically that I can't get my head around, which you'll hear me trip up on in a second. I heard 1,000 blended notes. While in a grove, I sate reclined. Sate. Sat? Yeah, let's call it sat. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths. If I'm really honest, if I'm to be vulnerable here, I don't really know what a bower is. A dwelling, a habitation, a gaff. You could say a gaff. An ideal abode, a place closed in with foliage. We know primroses. Yeah. We know primroses. I still can't really picture one, but I know of the primrose. Yeah, of course, I have seen a primrose.
Okay, what's a periwinkle again?
Don't know, not a clue. Any of several evergreen trailing shrubby plants of the genus Vinca with salver-shaped, chiefly purple-blue flowers. I knew that. Periwinkle is objectively a silly word. Has he seen a periwinkle? Yeah. And maybe he's gone, who am I to deny or fabricate nature? I think he's sort of like, he's back on his elbows is how I feel. I see the sort of long grass surrounding him and he's listening to the birds. And I'll tell you in what mood he was in while he was listening to the birds, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. 'Tis my faith that every flower, he does believe that, you know, flowers, if they were capable of it, are having a good time. And they're unaware. Like he talked about the flowers, he talks about the birds. Their thoughts I cannot measure. He doesn't know what they're thinking. He can't fathom what goes through. I've often thought, like when I meet a dog, I'm like, what's the dog actually think? We'll never know. Have I ever seen a sort of sad bird? I've seen a bird in physical pain. Yeah. Does a bird yearn? I don't know. I think dogs yearn. We yearn for more, and that ultimately is our undoing. Whereas these birds are just happy to be flying, happy to be hopping, happy to be playing. Do all I can, I think, is like, I've got to find the beauty in this. Because if not, like, what else is there? If this belief, it's hard, this last verse, hold on. If this belief from heaven be sent, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man? Question mark, big question mark at the end. Have I not reason to lament? My name is Edward Bluemel, and I'm going to read to you Lines Written in Early Spring by William Wordsworth. I heard 1,000 blended notes, while in a grove I sat reclined. In that sweet mood, when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man?